all they love the way we sound, the way we review, so turn up your sound, cause here comes the most badass talent to review
Central Game Review.
That's what we do when we start. We review games whether they're good or not. From the graphics to gameplay, beginning with a plot. Nothing will stop us from reaching the top. 500 subs in less than 3 days. These motherfucking idiots thinking it's just a phase. We suffer through damnation and even haze, but we come through cause we here to stay.
So Hellboy, the Science of Evil story is basically Hellboy and his crew are going to Romania due to some weird incidents happening because, you know, the group he's with and how they investigate all these weird things. And basically the game goes back and forth between that and flashback levels of the story that, I don't know, it doesn't really all feel like it makes a lot of whole sense, and it feels like a lot of filler. And if you want to know more about the story, like, Wikipedia it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't even really remember the story, but I do remember the voice acting, and while the cast of the movies does the voice acting, I felt like they just didn't give a shit, and really it's kind of, I guess they played the game first, then did the voice acting, and that's why you get that dull sense of shit voice acting that you get from the game.
I'm Hellboy.
That's basically it. Okay, so the graphics of Hellboy, the one thing I did actually like about this game is that it kind of does stay true to the whole Hellboy design. I've read the comics and I enjoyed them, so when I'm playing the game, a lot of the monsters look a lot like the comics. Hellboy looks like Hellboy, and even the effects are pretty good, especially when you're smashing in rocks. I think that looks pretty cool, or ripping an enemy in half. But, you know, the graphics, especially the design of the enemies, a lot of the enemies you fight look the same. I mean, they are the same enemy. You fight over and over again, but we'll get more on that into gameplay. But overall, the actual graphical power isn't bad at all.
Yeah, I'd actually say the graphics are probably the biggest highlight of the game. Even though they're not superbly great, or you know, they're not going to stand out in a crowd of other next-gen games. They definitely have a charm, and they kind of have a cartoony, kind of look in their design. And like you said, it really fits in with kind of like the Hellboy universe and everything. But yeah, that's about it for graphics there. Alright, so the gameplay of Hellboy Science Evil is basically like a beat-em-up, side-scrolling type of game. You know, you run around, beat the crap out of enemies, and you know, that's all fun and good if it's like Devil May Cry, something we have a huge combo list. Unfortunately, in Hellboy, you got like 4. Like XXX and YYY. And then you have gun combat, and that's kind of cool. You got different ammo, but it all feels the same. It all kind of just is clunky, and then you kind of have these parts where you have to bash through doors and stuff, and you actually have to slam on the X button or whatever button it was, and keep hitting it repeatedly. And it's kind of cool at first until like you do it like 20 times within one level, and then it just gets really freaking repetitive. And that's one of the main problems with the gameplay. It's just very extremely repetitive.
Yeah, I agree 100%, especially fighting the same enemies over and over again. It's a pain in the ass. And really, the puzzles in this game, I mean, they make Lego Batman look like they're made by geniuses. Really, all you do is hit these like glowing orbs or whatever with a weapon, and they glow, and then they open the gate. But you gotta go find them, and one of them is like hidden in a secret spot, and you have to search around, and it's not very fun. And I mean, you have this grab feature in the game, which is kind of cool, and you can either finish them off, throw them in the air, and smash them to get health, or just repeatedly punch them in the face. And that's all great and all, but really, it gets boring after the 10th enemy you pick up, and I guarantee you're going to fight over 100 enemies in one stage, and most likely all the same enemies. So the gameplay really suffers from being repetitive.
Yeah, and without enough variation through the levels, like if they could have mixed it up with some more in-depth puzzles and then some maybe platforming and then some fighting, you know, the small combo list probably wouldn't be a problem. But as it stands, it's just way too damn repetitive.
Overall, I think I would have enjoyed Hellboy more if I didn't run into one of the biggest glitches I've ever seen in my life. Basically, I got to the second level, I get up to this boss, and the whole point of this part is you're supposed to break the pillars so it keeps collapsing, so the tower you're in keeps collapsing, eventually killing the boss. But instead, this boss likes to be funny and gets stuck behind a pillar, and that's it. You can't get close to the boss, you can't break down the pillar, you can't finish the boss, and you're basically stuck there. I reset the game 2 or 3 times, and same result. I don't know if this is my game. It probably is, because I know people that beat it, but I can't forgive that, and that's another point down for this game. The rest of the game, I wasn't having much fun, basically, because the atmosphere isn't doing anything for me, really. The enemies, as I said, are all the same. You're just really not having... There's just nothing special about this game. It doesn't really try to do anything. I mean, even if it took notes from Devil May Cry or Onimusha with the bosses, it would have been better, but as it stands, it's like the most average... I say it's even below average game I've ever like. This would be the definition of a game that really needed a lot more work.
Yeah, and you're right. It does need a lot more work. From it could have had more combos, could have had more variation, could have had it could have even been longer. It's just something that had potential, and it just was completely thrown out the window. Now, even with all this said, I've played the game twice. The first time I absolutely hated it. The second time, actually knowing some of its faults, I was actually able to accept it a little bit more and actually have more fun with it. But it by no means excuses it from the problems it has. And as Whitey said, it's still a below average game. So for anybody that's maybe a hardcore Hellboy fan or likes repetitive beat 'em up games, you could give it a rent or buy it for $2, maybe 5.
Maybe 2.
Okay, maybe 2.
2 sounds better.
I like 2.
5's a little expensive.
Yeah, you're right.
It's not as bad as Damnation, though. We gotta
Hell
give
no.
it
See, that just saying that word gets me pissed, but that's another topic for another day. Go watch that video review if you want to find out more.
Yes, there you go. We just spammed another review. Go watch that.